Hi, how are you doing? My name is Rohit and I'll be breaking down the 24th match of this year's IPL, which saw the Rajasthan Royals taking on the Gujarat Titans in Jaipur, and it came down to the very last ball, and there is no longer an unbeaten. The Gujarat Titans won this one by 3 wickets, handing the Rajasthan Royals their first loss of the season, and it was a fun one. But here's the thing. Not only did it come down to the last ball, it basically came down to two crucial mistakes by both teams that even got it to this point. This is nothing like the comedy of errors like we saw yesterday between SRH and Punjab. This is more of a just one small mistake by both teams that proved costly at both ends. And without either mistake, it could have been easier for either side. That's simply it. So for Gujarat, they dropped Rian Parag twice. Parag ends up scoring 76. So maybe if they take either of Parag's catches, Rajasthan ends up with a lower total. Maybe they force a sort of batting collapse because this Rajasthan team does not bat deep. Yes, they have good back-end hitting with players like Dhruv Jurel and Shimron Hetmeyer. But here's the thing. Dhruv Jurel bats at number 6 for this lineup. You have Ravichandran Ashwin at 7, then Trent Bolt at 8, Avesh Khan 9, Kuldeep Sen 10, Yuzvendra Chahal 11. So, after that number 6 slot, this Rajasthan team has a very long tail. So, those catches matter because the quicker you can get into that lower middle order and into that tail end, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to shut down this Rajasthan batting attack, which can fire like it did today. Sanju Samson and Rian Parag put on a massive partnership with the 3rd wicket, and then Shimron Hetmeyer comes in at the end, does what he does, and provides a finishing touch. So, those small margins matter, but chasing and defending, that's where the mistakes get even more magnified because you have a set equation of follow. Gujarat had a set equation of they needed 197 to win. And so they started off well. Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill put on a solid opening partnership, and they also did bring in Matthew Wade to shore up that top order and to be a more capable wicketkeeper. What was strange to me was that Matthew Wade was slotted in at number 3 when normally he is a opener in T20s. Today, that's not necessarily too much of an issue as both Sudarshan and Gill put on a solid partnership. They both made solid scores. But that's something to monitor going forward. Maybe the Gujarat Titans are not done yet in terms of tinkering with their lineup. But moving on from that, going into the mistake that Rajasthan made, Gujarat needed 72 from 30. So with 5 overs left to go, they needed 72 runs. And nowadays, that isn't too much of a problem. We've seen crazier happen. But you look at this and you're thinking, well, this is going to be a struggle. You're starting to get into the tail end. Yes, Gujarat has some back-end hitting with players like Rahul Tewatia and Rashid Khan can swing the bat. But in that 19th, but here's the thing. You get to the 19th over, you've been solid for the last 3. You go from needing 72 from 30 to needing 35 from 12. That means you played very well in those prior 3 overs. And then what happens? You even get as far down as 28 from 9. Gujarat is desperate for boundaries here. And the last thing you want is to not only give away boundaries for free, but to give them extra balls to work with. And what does Kuldeep Sen do for Rajasthan? Not only does he give away a boundary, but he oversteps and it's a no ball. So that is also a free run awarded to Gujarat, and that means another extra ball. So in one ball, you go from 28 from 9 to 21 from 8. And then you give up another boundary on the very last ball. So you go into the final over needing 15. And wouldn't you know it, there was also a second mistake. But that second mistake kind of compounded throughout the entire innings because slow over rates. And because of Rajasthan having a slow over rate, instead of having 4 fielders outside the circle, they could only have 3. Which means there are larger gaps in a larger stadium, meaning it's easier to run between the wickets and easier to find gaps for boundaries. And guess what happens because of that fourth fielder not being outside the circle? Rashid Khan is able to find the biggest gap to hit a boundary off the very last ball, and Gujarat wins. So you have one team making drop catches, so they had to chase a total that they otherwise wouldn't have. And then you have another team with no balls and slow over rates, and it goes to show that you can recover from making mistakes when you are batting first. If you're the team that has to chase, you can recover from making mistakes in your bowling. But when you're batting, you have to take advantage of those mistakes. And when you're the team defending, your mistakes become even more deadly because every single run that you give away in extras, especially if it's something like a wide or a no ball where it means you have to re-bowl that ball, that's even worse because unlike with something such as a leg bye or a bye, those balls still count as balls bowled. So the over still progresses. But if you bowl a wide or a no ball, the over doesn't progress. It's just free runs. Even worse when it's a no ball because if that no ball goes for 6, you just gave up 7 runs off of that ball. And the very next ball is a free hit, meaning the batter cannot get out. So he's free to just swing for the hills. And if he get caught, guess what? That doesn't matter. Because it's a free hit. He can't get out. He can freely run between the wickets. And that's what happened on this specific no ball. Ball gets skied, gets caught, but because it's a no ball, that's 2 runs right there. So mistakes are much more lethal when you're defending a total. And Rajasthan had to learn that today the hard way, and that's what costed them their first loss of the season. But other than that, you can't really pinpoint anything that either team did wrong. If anything, there are a lot more that they did well. Sanju Samson and Rian Parag did very well to weather the storm of 2 early wickets in the power play and then just move on from there. And they bided their time. They picked their spots. They both rotated the strike well. They struck the ball cleanly. And they both played very mature knocks, which is very important and very good to see. Because you need that sort of maturity from your middle order. And Rian Parag's incredible season continues. And that's the importance of role clarity and taking the domestic season seriously. Rian Parag was excellent for Assam in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, which is India's domestic T20 league. And he was slotted in at number 4. Now Rajasthan gives him that same role clarity at number 4. And he excels for Rajasthan now at the IPL. And for Gujarat, that back-end hitting definitely mattered. Rahul Tewatia, 22 from 11 at 2 runs per ball. Rashid Khan, 24 from 11, including the very last boundary that was 100% needed to win. So between the two of them, they're both striking an over-run a ball, and you needed every single one of those runs, especially towards the back end of the innings where that asking rate just climbs and climbs and climbs. Gujarat did well today to change their lineup to bolster that top order a bit. Obviously, the additions did not play well today, but it's one game. They'll probably bounce back, so that's nothing to worry about. But their back end hitting fire today, so that's ultimately what gave them the win. But so, there's more that both teams did right than did wrong, but what Rajasthan did wrong hurt them more, and that's what ultimately ended up to them losing, and that's what ultimately ended up to Gujarat winning. But since this game came down to the last ball, neither team's run rate really took a hit. Rajasthan was never going to move no matter what because there is no team that is yet to get to 8 points, so they're still sitting pretty at number 1. Gujarat only moves up to number 6 with a win. And because this game came down to the last ball, you're starting to get a bit of a logjam. But we're still early, but when you start to see that logjam between for anywhere from 4th through 7, you're going to be in for a little bit of a wild ride come the back end of the business end of the tournament and playoff seeding. So maybe this close victory could hurt Gujarat's chances in the future. But that's usually how it goes. And with that, that's my breakdown of this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And with that, I'll be back for the next one. Have a good one.